经典演说篇第156集啊，回顾一下第98到101集老布希总统就职演说啊，前面都讲过，我们这边只念一下，回顾一下，顺便你也当听力念一下啊。Inaugural Address of George Bush, 1989. And speaking of a new engagement in the lives of others, a new activism, hands-on and involved, to get the job done, we must bring in the generations, harnessing the unused talent of the elderly and our focused energy of the young. For not only leadership is passed from generation to generation, but so is stewardship. And a generation born after the Second World War has come of age. I've spoken of 1,000 points of light about the community organizations that are spread like stars throughout the nation, doing good. We will work hand in hand, encourage, sometimes leading, sometimes being led, rewarding. We will work on those in the White House and the cabinet agencies. I will go to the people in the programs that are brighter points of light, and I will ask every member of my government to become involved. The old ideas are new again because they are not old. They are timeless. Duty, sacrifice, commitment, and the patriotism that finds its expression and taking part. We need a new engagement too, between the executive and the Congress. The challenges before us will be thrashed out with the House and the Senate. We must bring the federal budget into balance, and we must ensure that America stands before the world united, strong, at peace, and physically sound. But, of course, things may be difficult. We need compromise. We have had dissension. We need harmony. We have had a chorus of discordant voices. For Congress to change in our time, there has grown a certain divisiveness. We have seen the hard looks and heard the sentiments in which not each other's ideas are challenged, but each other's motives. And our greater parties have too often been far apart and untrusting of each other. It has been this way since Vietnam. That war cleaves us all still. But France, the war began in earnest a quarter of a century ago, and surely the statute of limitations has been reached. This is a fact. The final lesson of Vietnam is that a great nation can long afford to be sundered by memory. A new breeze is blowing, and the old bipartisanship must be made new again. To my friends, and yes, I do mean friends, in a loyal opposition, and yes, I mean loyal. I'm putting on my hand to you, Mr. Speaker. I'm putting on my hand to you, Mr. Majority Leader. For this is the thing, this is the age of the offer hand. We can't turn back the clocks, and I don't want to. But when our fathers were young, Mr. Speaker, our differences ended. And we don't wish to turn back time. And when our mothers were young, Mr. Majority Leader, the Congress and the Executive were capable of working together to produce a budget in which this nation could live. Let us negotiate soon and hard, but in the end, let us produce. The American people await action. They didn't send us here to bicker. They ask us to rise above the merely partisan. In crucial things, unity, and theirs, my friends, is crucial. To the world, too, we offer new engagement and a renewed vow. We will stay strong to protect the peace. The offer hand is reluctant first, but once made, strong and can be used with great effect. There are today Americans who are held against their will in foreign lands, and Americans who are unaccounted for. Assistance can be shown here and will be long remembered. Goodwill begets goodwill. Good faith can be a spiral that English moves on. Great nations like great men must keep their word. When America says something, America means it. Whether a treaty or agreement or vow made on marble steps, we would always try to speak clearly, for candor is a compliment, but subtlety is good and has its place. Well, keeping our alliances and friendships around the world strong, ever strong, we will continue the new closeness with the Soviet Union, consistent both with our security and with progress. One might say that our new relationship in part reflects the triumph of hope and strength over experience. But hope is good, and so are strength and vigilance. Here today are tens of thousands of our citizens who feel the understandable satisfaction of those who have taken part in democracy and seen their hopes fulfilled. But my thoughts have been turning the past few days to those who will be watching at home, to an older fellow who will throw a salute by himself when the flag goes by, and the women who will tell their sons the words of the battle hymns. I don't mean this to be sentimental. I mean that on days like this, we remember that we are all part of a continuum, inescapably connected by ties that bind. Our children are watching the schools throughout our great land, and to them I say, thank you for watching Democracy's Big Day. For democracy belongs to us all, and freedom is like a beautiful kite that can go higher and higher with the breeze. And to I say, no matter what your circumstances or where you are part of this day. You are part of the life of our great nation. The President is neither prince nor pope, and I don't seek a window of men's souls. In fact, I yearn for a great tolerance and easygoingness about each other's attitudes and the way of life. There are a few clear areas which we are, as a society, must rise up, united, and express our intolerance. The most obvious now is drugs. And when the first cocaine was smuggled in on a ship, it may as well have been a deadly bacteria, so much as a herd body, the soul of our country. And there's much to be done and to be said, but take my word for it, the scourge will stop. And so there is much to do, and tomorrow the work begins. I do not mistrust the future. I do not fear what is ahead. For our problems are large, but our heart is larger. Our challenge is great, but our will is greater. And if our flaws are endless, God's love is truly boundless. Some say leadership is high drama, and the sound of trumpets calling, and sometimes it is that. But I say history is a book with many pages, and each day will fill the page with acts of hopefulness and meaning. The new breeze blows, the page turns, the story unfolds. And so today a chapter begins, a small and steely story of unity, diversity, and generosity shared and written together. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. 这一期讲回顾到这里。